Hey everyone, Chaomix here, Team Chaotix. I remember first seeing them after booting up Sonic Heroes and going into the Team Select screen. I had no idea who they were, but I already knew that I liked them solely based on their designs. You've got a lot of variety here. Vector, the loud green-colored crocodile who completely towers over most of our other characters on the same screen. Charmy, the young black and yellowed striped bee who can really put your patience to the test. And then Espio, the ninja chameleon whose stealth abilities are unrivaled. Together, they formed the Team Chaotix Detective Agency, a group of goofy, for-hire agents just scraping by in order to pay rent. They'll take on any odd job and are somehow just competent enough to actually pull it off. I'm sure this was also many other people's first exposure to Team Chaotix. After all, Sonic Heroes was the first mainline game to include them and actually give them this title. Because before that point, they were only included in more obscure spin-off media. But it's in this obscure spin-off media where we get a lot of interesting backstory that surprisingly not many people know about. Scrapped concepts, additional members, hidden cameos. There's a lot more to Team Chaotix than you'd think, so let's go over the origins and history of the bunch throughout the entire Sonic series. But first, this video is proudly sponsored by Magic Spoon cereal. One of the saddest things to ever happen to me is having to stop eating one of my favorite foods, cereal. For real, ever since I learned how bad that stuff is for you, all the sugar they have in them, I regretfully had to give it up. Or so I thought. Because that's where our sponsor for today, Magic Spoon, comes into play. With Magic Spoon, you don't have to feel the guilt that comes with wanting to have a nostalgic spoonful of cereal like back in the good old days of watching Saturday morning cartoons as a kid. Because Magic Spoon not only tastes as amazing if not better than those cereals you used to eat as a kid, but it's also healthy. Magic Spoon cereals have 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. They're also keto-friendly, gluten-friendly, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. I got the variety pack, so I got to try all sorts of flavors. You've got cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, cookies and cream, and maple waffle. Plus, there's a few awesome new flavors like blueberry and cinnamon. But if I had to choose, I think my current favorite's gotta be frosted. They literally taste just like marshmallows. Click the link in my description to build your own variety pack and try it out today. Use code chaomix5 or go to magicspoon.com/chaomix5 for $5 off any order. And Magic Spoon is so confident that you'll love their product that if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund you your money back, no questions asked. Huge thank you to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video, and with all that being said, let's get on to today's episode. The origins of Team Chaotix actually has roots in the origins of the Sonic series itself. During the initial conceptualization of the series, Sonic was meant to have a human girlfriend and be in a rock band. The true rock star lifestyle. This band was meant to appear on the sound test screen in the original game and would consist of members Sonic the Hedgehog as the singer, Sharps the Parakeet on guitar, Max the Monkey as bassist, Mock the Rabbit on drums, and finally, Vector the Crocodile on keyboard. This entire group was also meant to play a role throughout the story, being rescued by Sonic and helping him out along the way, but this was cut from the game due to time constraints. This would have been Vector's very first appearance, but in the end, this idea was scrapped and the whole rock band concept never saw the light of day. But obviously, not everything was scrapped, because Vector and his general design would be brought back later on. Charmy Bee actually also has quite the obscure origin. Charmy actually first appeared in media outside of the games. The 1992 Japanese Sonic manga, to be exact. Yeah, this is actually him. I'm being for real. Besides being a bee, there's basically nothing here that would tell you that this is the same character. But he would eventually get redesigned later on in the manga to something a lot closer to how we know him today. And eventually, Charmy would be brought over to the games because of his overwhelming popularity. I can't even say that with a straight face. So, the first actual in-game appearance of the Chaotix Crew all grouped up together, before they were even known as Team Chaotix, would be in 1995's Knuckles Chaotix, a spin-off game for the Sega 32X. Because of Knuckles' overwhelming popularity, but like for real this time, a completely new game starring the Echidna himself would be created, featuring a star-studded cast including Vector the Crocodile, Charmy Bee, and a completely new character, Espio the Chameleon. And yes, that technically makes Knuckles a founding member of the Chaotix Crew. You'd think in the more recent games, Knuckles would maybe drop a line or two towards these guys, referencing their previous alliance here, especially after seeing them again in Sonic Heroes, but he kind of just doesn't. Totally ghosts them. Almost as if this wacky, obscure spin-off game for a glorified console accessory that sold like cheeks is barely canon. Huh. Just kidding, everything is canon. But anyways, there's one more character I have yet to mention. The secret member of the Chaotix Crew. Someone who, at one point, was basically wiped off the face of the planet, never to be seen again. Mighty the Armadillo. Mighty is a red armadillo with impeccable defense and overwhelming strength. Now, Knuckles Chaotix isn't Mighty's first rodeo. That would actually be a 1993 arcade game called Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, which I've actually had the luxury of being able to play in person, and I'll never pass up the opportunity to remind people of this fact. I've played Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. Have you? I didn't think so. Sega Sonic has 3 playable characters controlled by a large trackball. There's obviously Sonic the Hedgehog, but also Ray the Flying Squirrel, and of course, Mighty the Armadillo. So because of Mighty's overwhelming popularity, they decided for whatever reason to bring him over for Knuckles Chaotix. Why the hell not? So now we have the context for all of our original members of the Chaotix Crew, who all separately go to this new island that appears shortly after the events of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. On the way there, Knuckles finds and takes Dr. Robotnik by surprise, who was putting the finishing touches on trapping our future bestie, Espio. Robotnik runs away with Metal Sonic like a coward, and we proceed to free our boy Espio from his imprisonment. From there, the two continue on through this new territory, only to discover that this entire island has already been converted into a giant amusement park by none other than Dr. Robotnik. Wow, he works fast. The reason Dr. Robotnik is even here is because this island is home to the 6 Chaos Rings, which contain the ability to summon the Master Emerald. Being, the guardian of the thing, Knuckles knows what he's gotta do. Can't have that thing falling into the wrong hands again and redoing Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Eventually, Knuckles and Espio meet up and free the other members of the soon-to-be Chaotix Crew, and together they put a stop to Dr. Robotnik's plans. And also this hideous dude, Jesus Christ. It's hard to really comment on the chemistry between the Chaotix Crew at this point. There isn't really any dialogue, much like most other Sonic games around this time, so it's difficult to tell how buddy-buddy these guys really are. But I think it's safe to assume that kicking some Robotnik butt together is gonna form some kind of magical bond between the characters. Just a quality pastime if I do say so myself. So yeah, that's the Knuckles crew from Knuckles Chaotix. Unfortunately, the game sold like cheeks, which is probably the reason all but Knuckles would go on to be forgotten about. At least for 8 entire years, all the way until Sonic Heroes. Oh yeah, except for that one time just Espio was in Sonic the Fighters. Good times. Sonic Heroes, probably most people's first introduction to the officially named Team Chaotix. Alright, we've finally come full circle. While their crew is technically smaller, the amount of heart is just as big. Aww. Team Chaotix from this point on would consist of just 3 members, Vector, Charmy, and Espio. As you can probably tell, they got redesigned like most of the other cast during the rough transition into 3D. Oh god, look at all these characters. Sure, this video to scare IGN. Anyways, as far as the redesigns go, Vector's headphones are a bit more modern, he's got some bling on his neck, he loses his fanny pack on his waist, and his gloves and shoes are a bit more eccentric. Charmy's goggles move from his forehead to the top of his head, going behind his little bee antennas. He gets a cool orange vest, and he ditches his red Converse for some more orange boot-looking shoes. Espio is probably the biggest change. The way his entire face looks is just different. His brows are a lot less bulky, he loses a lot of the green colors from his classic design, and overall he looks a lot more ninja-like with the new design on his shoes and gloves. Another big thing to change are the ages of these characters. Espio goes from age 17 to 16, not too bad, but Vector goes from age 16 to 20, and Charmy goes from 16 to just 6. Big jump for those two. But I will say I think this dynamic range of ages adds a good variety not only to the Chaotix crew, but the overall cast of the Sonic series. It'd be boring if everyone was just coincidentally the same age. We briefly touched on this at the beginning of this video, but Team Chaotix has a more specific role from this point on in the series. A for-hire detective agency. They go around taking strange jobs in order to make ends meet. What, everyone's gotta pay rent and put food on the table? It's definitely in this game where the trio's personalities really come out to play. They're the comedy relief group of this game, and their personalities are all varied in exactly the right way where they synergize with each other very well. You've got Vector, the loudmouth leader, giving orders and always thinking he knows best. Charmy, the slightly annoying child character that seems to always be riding a perpetual caffeine high. And Espio, the cool and collected member of the team who always puts his teammates back on track. But these three are all total goofballs. I mean, take a look at their team blast. I think the intro cutscene to their story also summarizes what they're all about perfectly. I love this scene. The room is completely silent, just some soft white noise, and bam! Charmy violently bursts in, screeching about God knows what. He slams into Vector and tosses the package up into the air, which has Espio cleaning up the mess before it even happens. The three receive a new job offer from totally not Dr. Eggman using a voice pitch shifter. It's so obviously fishy, and Espio knows this and points it out, but despite the warning, Vector insists that the team take any job that pays well. This scene shows us everything we need to know about these three characters to a T. The rest of the game's cutscenes also do a great job as well. I love this scene where Vector straight up calls Rouge a broad.
Who's this broad?
Like, holy dude, chill. And of course this last scene where the team finds out they've been played by Dr. Eggman and just beat the shit out of him.
Some nerve probability ain't gone. We've been had. Just wait a minute. Just listen to me.
Take this, you bad man!
I love these guys. Luckily, the team would be around and stay decently relevant for a little bit longer, as they'd also be featured in 2005's hit game Shadow the Hedgehog. Depending on what route you take, a different character will be available to assist you, some of them being members of Team Chaotix. We can see them all together in this cutscene with Espio trying to hack one of Eggman's computers. And yes, they're all still their same goofball selves. In-game, you can find Vector in Cosmic Fall, where your mission is to find the computer room. Charmy can be found in Prison Island, where he's being punished for his war crimes. And then Espio can be found in Mad Matrix, where he needs your help to access the 4 terminals so he can hack the mainframe. They don't play a huge role in this game like how they had their own story in Sonic Heroes, but they're still here, letting us know that Sega likes having these guys around. And while they never got the spotlight like they did in Sonic Heroes, they always managed to stick around, even to this day. We can see them in all sorts of other games like Sonic Rivals, Sonic Colors DS, Sonic Generations, and Sonic Forces. Admittedly, they don't do a whole lot, but at least they haven't been tossed aside to the Shadow Realm like some other characters. But Team Chaotix makes cameos in a ton of media outside of the games. They can often be found in Sonic X, sometimes having entire episodes dedicated to them. Vector has this huge crush on Cream's mom, which is just the best. He's really out here cougar hunting. They also appear all the time in the comics, whether that be Archie, Fleetway, and even the newer IDW issues. Sometimes even Mighty makes a cameo as part of the team. Speaking of Mighty, his fate seemed pretty bleak after not seeing him for over a decade. It really seemed like he was just gone forever after Knuckles Chaotix. That is, until Sonic Mania, where Mighty would become a full-fledged playable character as part of the Sonic Mania Plus DLC. However, he's really his own isolated character here. He isn't part and he doesn't reference the Chaotix Crew in any way. Which is fine, at least he's back. Kind of. Yeah, Mighty is never coming back after this, is he? But at the very least, I'm glad Sonic Team never scrapped the Team Chaotix trio. Although they don't play a huge role in most of these games, at least they didn't suffer the same fate as a lot of these other classic era characters. F in chat for Team Hooligan. I'll probably make a video on those guys as well. But honestly, I think I'm fine with Team Chaotix not being the stars of the show. They serve as comic relief and do a damn good job at it. I think as long as they're included as part of the supporting cast and have some good banter, I'd be decently content. But that's not to say I wouldn't want them to be more involved with the stories or hell even be playable. I would love to play as the Chaotix trio again. Maybe even spice it up, throw Mighty in there too, why not? Hey everyone, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you like what you saw, leave a like and subscribe for more content similar to this. In the comments below, let me know who your favorite member of Team Chaotix is. And to take that discussion even further beyond, make sure to join our community Discord. I'll leave the link to that in the description. And last but certainly not least, you know I gotta thank my amazing channel members. You all absolutely rock and are the #1 supporters of this channel. If you'd also like to directly support my channel for only $2 along with getting some pretty sick perks, press the join button beneath this video or the channel membership link in the description for more details. And with all that being said, I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Peace.
Wake up,